You know what time it is. Let's see it. You almost get a fist up in that hole. She's definitely gapped out. Fucking she's definitely been around, all right? Definitely been around. But let's see what's going on in here. Ooh. Ooh, lowering springs. First step, make sure all 4 lowering springs are in the box. Second step, jack up car, have impact ready with lug nut size. Next step, take out strut, lower bolt. Sway bar end link would have been easier to take out, but of course when I spin here, this spins freely and my vice grips will wreck the bushing. So instead of that, I demounted the sway bar with two 14 millimeter bolts off the frame. Step on here on the caliper. Once you step down, this thing can rock all the way down. Yank the spring out, boom, done. Next step, put the bushings on the right spot, twist them all the way around until they hit this little rubber spot, and that's how you know when they're flush. They say to lube up the top and then push it on in there, but those are little kids without muscles, so I'm just going to push it down and manhandle this beast in there. Next step, after the spring's back in, make sure these 3 little holes on the bottom, all the rubber grommets are sticking through them. You can feel that top right one with your finger. This one you can literally see. They're not going to line up with the lowering springs because they're not, you know, these are stock mounts. So they're not going to line up until you jack the car up. Then this one will go in. Otherwise it stays pretty heavy on that side. So it might, little rubber pieces sticking out. But jack this lower control arm up till you can get this bolt in. Then tighten her down. I'm going to leave the sway bar unhooked until I do the other side. It will make this very easy. I can put it back in. That's up to you. But I think I'm going to leave it undone so the other side doesn't even need as much muscle. To push this down by myself to get this lowering spring in, I put the wheel back on for that 40 extra pounds, and I just pressed with my hand on the wheel down, and it was super easy to slide this beast in. So you don't need to unhook anything else, just this and 2 14 millimeter bolts on the sway bar up there, and that's done. Okay, when you're putting back in the sway bar, don't just crank down one side. Make sure you go back and forth, bottom to top, because otherwise you're going to crank that bar up. You're probably going to bend the sway bar bracket all around. It's not going to sit even maybe, but just make sure you go top bottom. I'm not going to record the other side because it's the exact same thing, but I will record the front. Another pro tip that will save you some time when you are doing this, make sure you didn't lean on the brake shield, and then because if you dent it on there, then it's going to do grinding. So just make sure it's all pushed back. Make sure you didn't lean on it. Spin it, and make sure you don't hear any rubbing. Front side, take this bolt out. I think it's a 19 millimeter nut on the left, followed by a 17 millimeter. My impact was strong enough to bust this off while I hold this side with my torque wrench, thankfully. This, nightmare, all right? I had to do it on the back one. Absolute nightmare. You need to put the Allen wrench in there and then try to loosen this. Well, this is all rusted. You know, it's a goddamn 2013. It pisses me off. Minnesota swallows nuts. But, unhook this. After this little thing, you just pull it out. And then I gotta unclip this with the needle nose and then just pop it out. I'm going to try something extreme. Once I take this beast out, this thing should tilt down a little bit and then go sideways, I'm hoping. I'm going to try to do this job with the sway bar on it without undoing the sway bar end link, because this thing's a rusted piece of shit. Well, if I loosen that thing, it's going to break. Then I'm going to need to go to the store and buy that quick, and don't feel like it. So if I can get this bitch tipped out sideways and compress the spring right in here, I think I'm going to try it. But guaranteed I'm going to have to figure out how to take that off. Now, as for the top, there's a little shield right here. Pop this little bitch out, and then you can get this nut right here, easy, 14 mil. Pop this little circle off here, you can get that little 14 mil. And the hardest one that people talk shit about, oh, take the wiper blade off, all that bullshit. 14 millimeter wrench. Go back here, break it loose, 2 spins, reach your hand in there, and you can do the rest by finger. Do not drop it, because it will go back into that hole, and good luck. You just buy a new nut. Macadamia nut, gotta have it. Here we go. Look at this fine ass work. Sway bar end link still in there. We got room for days. Do whatever I want with this beast. About to mount this bitch up right now. Rent this from your local AutoZone. Clamp them on both sides. Go slowly each side. Compress the spring. Take the top head off. Probably gonna suck because of the Allen wrench gig. You gotta stick the Allen wrench in there and then a little bolt. Just a joke. Such a stupid ass design. But anyways, I'm gonna give it a shot. Here we go. Okay, we just tighten it like a moron. All right, we're good. Looks like something I'd find in my sister's room. Little comparance. Put this through, hits all the way to the other end. You got a little nipple here. That's obviously gonna go right here. Put the top in, swing it all the way through, stops there, hits there. Pretty easy. This goes down over here. I rubbed these little threads off a little bit, cleaned it, I mean. And hopefully this beast goes back on just as easy as it came off. There's an arrow right here. And that tells me, let's see in here, if you can see up in there. That tells me the arrow is supposed to point towards me. So it goes in like this. And it faces the front of the strut bolts. So I'll just be in like this. If it gets turned, make sure you just kind of angle it a little bit. And then give her the full send tight down. And then you could double check by sliding that bitch up in there. Pulling her down. And you see the arrow. Clean that bitch off, you know, for the extra respect when people look in your bay and they can't even see the top of the strut because it's hidden under here because it's trash. But anyways, gonna reinstall. Okay, one of the best feelings in the world. All 4 sides done by yourself. This side was horrible. This side, I could not get this sway bar end link. I had to put a jack in here to touch this top and then press down on here and then I opened the jack up to press this sway bar down so I could turn this, get it straight, and then put this beast in here. Absolute nightmare. This side was so hard. Something I forgot to mention on the other side. There's a little block right here, a block of rubber. It's like that big. Make sure that this is on this side pointing this way with this rubber here. That almost scared me. I had to go back and look at the other side. I was like, oh my God, did I put this on this hole back here? If I would have, the spring rate would have been all messed up. Everything would have been all out of whack. It would have not been how it was made and designed to go back in. 12 millimeter bolt to put the brake line back on. These just clip back in if you didn't break them. Put a bolt on this side, 19, 17. Make sure that's tight all the way. I pushed this in as hard as I could and then tighten that, just in case, like, if I was to get camber, I would be towed in instead of towed out. I mean, tow out probably actually would have been better. I probably should have pulled this straight, pulled it back, and then tightened it. But really, it was just like probably not even a centimeter, to be honest with you. Then after I lower this to the ground, I'm going to double check these. You don't need these cranked on super tight. Make sure that's good. On one finger instead of the fist. Almost, no, not, well, two if I go upward, but pretty much one finger instead of the fist. Way lower.